Hi, I am Gaston. Coming up next on Global Perspectives, a heart-to-heart conversation about culture and education. Welcome to Global Perspectives, heart-to-heart conversations about culture and education. I am your host, Gaston Gomez, and I'm here with my guest, Rudwan Abu-rumman from Jordan. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Great, thank you for being here with us. I want to ask you a few questions about your culture and also about your background. And so, tell me where are you originally from?
I'm from Jordan in the Middle East.
Okay, and so where in Jordan do you grow up? Is it north, south?
I grew up in the middle of Jordan.
Right in the center of Jordan?
Right in the center of Jordan.
Wow. What's the name of the
I
area?
grew up in a village which is outside Amman, about 30 kilometers.
Uh-huh.
And that's where I grew up for the elementary school, so I was in the village.
All right. And how many languages do you speak right now?
I speak two languages, the Arabic language and the English language.
Okay. And growing up, do you learn only one language at home or two languages?
At home, only one language, but in the 5th grade, we start learning English. Even though nowadays they teach from the kindergarten, they teach English and Arabic, but in my generation, we started at the 5th grade learning English.
So was it more like a bilingual classroom setting after 5th grade, or it was just an English class?
An English class.
English class. So it wasn't like a bilingual classroom all day long. Gotcha, all right. And so did you go to public school or private schools?
When I grew up, we don't have private schools to begin with in the villages. It's only the only thing private was the kindergarten. We go to an old man where he teaches us just the letters and basic things, and little discipline to be ready for the classroom when we go to the 1st grade.
And what was your schedule like? 8 o'clock in the morning till 3, or was it later that day?
Almost 8 till 4, 7:30 till 4. I mean, we will have a lunch break. In between that, we will take an hour lunch break that we can have our lunches. And even though the lunches, we bring our own lunch to the school in your bag.
So it was not provided? Breakfast and lunch was not
provided? Nothing provided. You get the lunch, and because I was living in a different village than where the school is, so we would have the lunch with us in our bag. But the children in that school, in that village, they will go home and have lunch and come back to the class.
How long was the walk from your home to the school?
Elementary school will walk a couple of kilometers.
So time-wise will be 10 minutes? About 10 minutes? Or?
No, it's about 20 minutes, half an hour, something like that. Half an hour.
So you have to walk every day, back and forth?
Yes.
20 to 30 minutes.
Rain or shine, or we had to walk to the school too.
And so was attendance mandatory?
The attendance till the 9th grade in Jordan is by law is compulsory.
Okay.
Everybody have to go to the 9th grade minimum. You can't say if people do not go to school 7th grade, 8th grade, parents get in legal trouble.
Oh wow! So they get like a fine, or do they have to go to court?
Have to go to court and probably jail too if they need be,
really?
because in Jordan our main source of income for Jordanians is the educated people who work outside Jordan, and they bring money to Jordan. We don't have oil, we have little bit phosphate and potassium, but the little is when I grew up was farming and education.
Do you have to do any farming as a child?
My father have a small shop in the village, but he was a farmer too. Okay. So in the shop we will maintain it as children. I was the oldest of the children, so we will maintain the shop too.
So you were like the father-like figure when your dad was at work, and you had to be in charge of the farm.
Well, we don't have to sit in the shop because it's a village. My village, we only have like 20 homes. So
very small village. Everybody trusts each other. Interesting. Thanks for sharing that with me. And so when you went to school, private school, you went all the way to 9th grade? Or
no, private school.
No, to public school.
All the way to the secondary school too, which is the 12th grade. Right. I had to go to Amman, to the capital.
So you went to the capital to get higher education?
Yes. Well, it's another just to
like
get
high school.
Just to get high school.
And so you have to stay away from your parents.
Yes.
And do you go every day?
No, I'll go in Thursday evening because we work 6 days a week in school.
Okay.
And then come back Friday night, come to the city. Next day, we go to the school.
So public school in your country is 6 days a week.
6 days a week. When I grew up,
So now has changed.
now changed, everything changed.
So 6 days a week. So you don't have enough break then when you were a young kid. Huh?
But the schools were our main emphasis in the children. We don't have television. I mean, I finished high school without even television in Jordan. So the books is our thing to do. Books, read, homework, outside books from public library.
And so, tell me about boys and girls going to school. Do you guys go together, or do you have to go separately?
Segregated schools.
Segregated.
There's girls separate.
Girls,
And this
but
is
the same school, just different classroom?
No, totally different schools. And this is what I hope we'll have in Arundel County too. That keep the boys away from the girls. And that's why you see the girls doing better in the United States, better than the boys, because the boys is not attracted by short skirt sitting next to them.
Oh, okay. So, growing up, how involved were your parents in your education? Do you have to invite them, or were they invited to the school often for meetings, or pre or after the school activities?
No, they don't have time for that.
Okay.
We're a farmer society. They don't have time for that.
So they were not involved in your education?
They're not
much?
involved. The only thing they know, you had to bring home good grades. This is the only thing they know.
Did they ask you what you learned that day? Or
No,
what?
no, we don't have time for that.
Wow, interesting. So there was no sharing about education?
No sharing for my age. It's different, totally different now.
Right, right.
Now
But
the
back
parents
then-
are involved in the school, they're involved in the homework, they're involved in your work. When I go to Jordan and I see my grandchildren, how much the parents are involved in their lives or in their schooling is totally 100% different than what we have. Nothing of that when we grow up. You want to have a better life, you do your work. You want to have a better life, you borrow books outside the school curriculum to improve your chances for education.
Interesting. Well, thanks for sharing that. It's good to know somebody else's education and culture. That's why I say heart-to-heart conversations, because I want to know more about you and your culture and your family as well. So interesting facts.
But what I'm giving you in my situation, I'm 70 years old, so what I'm giving you is a history.
Right.
So it's totally different than what we have today. Yes, it's totally different.
Right. So why did you move to the United States?
I have been in the United States many times since 1967. I migrated to the United States in 1990. I came to do business with represent factories in Jordan. I arrived on the 6th of April 1990. In 2 weeks I realized I couldn't do it, so I bought a business. I started a business and incorporated in the 20th of April. 2 weeks later I incorporated with a grand opening 2 months later with employees, with large store. So I figured and I hope at that time that I will be temporarily to go back and forth to Jordan. So 2 or 3 years later I had to settle where my business is. With a land of opportunity, of course.
That's what I was about to say. So you went through the American dream. I mean, you became a business owner. So
yes.
You
2 weeks later.
You reached the American dream.
2 weeks later.
2 weeks later.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Impressive.
Yes.
Impressive. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Why do you choose Maryland? Better yet, Anne Arundel County.
Well, Anne Arundel County, I had an assignment from the Air Force. I am Air Force retired officer in 1985 to 1988. For 3 years, I managed a program with Westinghouse Electronic Division.
The electric company.
They built air defense system to Jordan.
Oh, wow.
And I had 170 people coming from Jordan, some of them for training and some of them my staff. I lived in Colombia, but the Westinghouse was, that time, the largest employer in Maryland. They had 28,000 employees at that time, and we were in Linthicum. So I kind of knew the area. I was familiar with the area.
Right.
So when I moved to America in 1990, that was the easiest thing to live in Anne Arundel County, because that's where my business started.
That makes sense. And it's a nice place to be.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's, I encourage my community member from different states and from different counties to move to Arundel County too, and they do.
And I know you are well connected in the community, and I know some brand new families coming to the United States from Middle East or Jordan. They look up to you. They ask you for advice, and I know some of them, you know, they would like to stay in Anne Arundel County, and so you gave them, at least they have you as a right hand to give them the guiding, you know, as a guiding force to say, you know, go there, go here or go there. So at least they have you as a support. Some families, they move here with no support at all.
Well, I have a council working with me from the
so
community
you do have people
leaders.
working.
And that's where we advise people, we guide people, we meet with the Board of Education, we meet with the school system. So we're trying to empower our students and our community in the county, because the education is our target as Muslims. We are mandated for education. So I have 8 children, 7 of them have university degrees. Today, 2 of my daughters, they're seeking their master's degree. One of them actually, she finished all the curriculum as an industrial engineer in Jordan. She's a mother of 4. There are 4 children in school, so she went back to school to get her master's degree as industrial engineer.
So they all have higher education.
Yes.
Good, good. Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
It's good to know. What had you have heard about the United States before you came here? I know you came here 20 times or so. Before you came for the first time to visit,
well,
what is it that you heard about the United States that made you feel?
Before I came the first time, the only public libraries in Jordan was 2 in Amman. And the American Cultural Center, that was the library where I enriched my information or my studies, because they were very helpful to me when I was in high school, because in the summer I go to the village with my parents, and I can't communicate. Like when I borrow 2 books, I can't bring them every 2 weeks to change them. So when I talk to the administration of the information, the American Cultural Center, they agreed to give me 4 or 5 books, and I don't have to bring them back in 2 weeks, because they know I live in the village.
Right, so they give you more time.
So they gave me more time, they gave me more books. So this kind of gave me more window to study about the American life, because we don't have a television anyway.
Right.
We don't have a television station in Jordan.
Wow.
First television, I finished high school in 1966, and the first TV station in Jordan was in 1968.
Right. Okay. Well, so all you had to do is study and learn more about American culture through books.
Through books, yes.
So what you read on the books, and then you came here, was it alike?
Well, I came with the Air Force. I joined the Air Force, and I came for training with the Air Force, the American Air Force.
From Jordan?
From Jordan, for the Royal Jordanian Air Force.
Wow.
And then after that, I finished military college in Jordan, and the English language, I went to Pakistan for 1 year operations schooling. I came back again with the American Army for another year, where I get command and control over the missiles for the Air Force. So I get to training with both Air Force and
what was your highest rank?
Full colonel. I retired full colonel in 1989.
Colonel.
Yes.
Impressive.
Thank you, sir.
Very good to know. Do you recall your initial reactions when you decided to stay here and make a life in the United States? Or what was the cultural shock that you went through?
Well, when I migrated to the America in 1990, it wasn't cultural shock to me, because I was familiar with the United States and with the living.
So it wasn't nothing shocking to you?
No, there was no shocking. But of course, I got exposed to more things for businesses. But when I came, I was salaried officer. I was part of the embassy, even though, with diplomatic tags, but because I have my staff with me, the officers, and I need to communicate with different department, law enforcement, and so it was easy for me then, because I'm not focusing in the business life in the United States. But when I came as immigrant, of course, I want to make a living, which, thanks God, alhamdulillah, now I own a computer business now, and I own commercial and residential properties. So I think life is good.
You're right. So that was my next question. you know, what you do for business and work. So obviously you have businesses,
Yes, I have a computer business.
computer business, and they all
which
in
is
Anne Arundel County. Or
in
you have them
In
in
Anne Arundel County. Started 1997 computer business. I used to have furniture business. So for 1997 till 2000, I own computer business and furniture business. And now in 2000, I liquidated all the furniture, and I own computer business. But I started buying houses in 2005,
Real
2004. So yes, diversified my income.
Speaking of real estate, like, you know, to make your business more diverse, in a house of real estate in Jordan, in a way that is it accessible for Jordanians to purchase a home, or is really not?
No, of
it's
course.
not really tangible for that.
Of course, most of the people have their own homes. The percentage of rental is very little. I have my house, I have my farm still in Jordan, and my children, they all have their own homes. So owning a home is very important, and this is what I hope that even my community to have homes, because right now, unfortunately, the home ownership in Canada passed the United States. So the home ownership in America is going down, it doesn't look good for when you look at the United States, the statistics as ownership.
To make comparisons. So
To make comparisons.
Got it. And so, if you want to invest in Jordan now, is that something that you are interested in, investing in real estate or not?
Well, I have my home, I have my land. I have a land, so I don't need to acquire any more land.
Okay.
With my age, that's good enough for me.
Good. So, I want to go back to your growing up, school age. I have learned that different cultures, they have, growing up, you have several children and the grandparents, and then you get married, and then you still live in the same household. Was it the same thing in your culture? Like when you're married, you're still in the same household, or you move on? And
mostly, but it depends again on the income. When I got married, I was already lieutenant in the Air Force. I had good income, so I rented my house way before
you were married.
I got married. So it depends, but it depends on the monthly income. It depends on the household. It depends on the status in the community. So yes and no. Some of us do. And some of us don't, and I didn't need to do that because my income was good. My wife was a school teacher, so we have good income.
What grade did she teach?
In Jordan, you don't stick with the grade, so she was teaching elementary school.
Okay, so it was pretty much basic education.
Basic education.
Primary education. Yes. Did she do that when she moved to the United States, or
no?
She didn't
she God bless her soul, she passed, and but she was there because when I moved to America, I have two children in the university.
Right.
So we don't want to break them from education. Actually, one of my children, the youngest son I have, he's helping me running the computer business.
Oh, wow.
But I want him to finish university in Jordan.
Of course.
Because
so he can get that education from Jordan. And then
it's more emphasis, more rigid to get Jordan. Somehow the education here went slack. And this is, you talk about shocks. When I came with my children here, it was a shock to see that there is no respect for the teacher in the classroom. And how would you learn from someone as your teacher if you don't pay attention to the class? In the school in Jordan, the school teacher walks in the class, everybody gets up.
Yeah.
And even my children, when I took them to the school here, they came home laughing in 1985. They said, "Dad, they put their feet in the desk. The children, and the teachers in the classroom." So to them, that was
that's a cultural shock when you have two different, very conservative way of growing up in a public school in another country.
Yes, and
I understand that because I used to stand up when the teacher walked into the classroom too, and that was not so long ago.
Well, I don't know how to make it here. I mean, I spoke to the Board of Education at one point when I was speaking, that we need to have, for example, a uniform for the children. You need to have, because the children is not a fashion show. when you go to school, and this is sad. So we need to make more disciplined classrooms, and it's not good sometimes to be too, I don't know if you're going to call it too liberal or what, but it's not, this children, we pay a lot of money for the schools.
Right.
And we need to see disciplined students.
Yeah, and so what I see is that, you know, first world country culture versus other, you know, second or third world countries as well, that are very different in education and politics, religion. You know, in some countries they have religion very involved in the classroom, and some other countries they don't. Specifically first world countries, they don't have so much religion if it's public school. But it's interesting to know that you have experienced that cultural shock. To say, wait a minute, I used to stand up, and here they don't do it. They put their feet on the desk.
Yes, they do.
Or, you know, so interesting. Amazes me to
But we're
learn
not
that
getting
about
any
it.
better. Even in Jordan now, the schools is getting more loose, gradual, and I don't know what we're getting. Sometime with the civilization, we're losing. You know, we're losing other things that maybe somebody more diverse need to look at things for us.
Yeah.
And but we need to talk about the subject. We need to talk about that the school is not a fashion house.
Yeah. You know, we have a few minutes left. I would like for you to share with me more about you. You know, I learned a lot about you in a few minutes, but I would like for you to share something else that you haven't shared with me yet.
I'm the oldest of 12 children.
12.
I have 8 children. My youngest is 30 years old. But I was in the Air Force. I was in the military academy. I got training in England.
How old were you when you joined the Army?
I was 19 years old.
19. So you were fresh out of high school.
Fresh high school.
High school, and then went for training to England.
Well, I went later on for higher officers commanding course. But I had business meetings before for the air defense. And just like I had in the United States, I participated in army maneuvers. I participated in different visits to United States Marines or Air Force or because we have exchange visits with United States as Royal Jordanian Air Force. Right. And my part of my training was in Pakistan too, but in Jordan too. They say, you know, the officers or the military, it's a continuing education. They don't stop teaching you. If you want to progress, you want to get ranks, you're going to promotions, you go to all the time for education. Maybe it's military. It doesn't, you know, you don't come out to do military stuff in the civilian life,
right.
But at least you get exposed to things like working in a touch screen. I worked in touch screen in the 70s.
Oh wow!
And
touch screen.
Yes,
wow.
Different technology, but in the 80s, almost the technology here, we're working in it with my staff. I have my staff coming with me from Jordan to work in the air defense project. Some of them industrial engineer, electrical engineer, software programmer, software experts. So we had all to work along with Westinghouse to build our own system. That's when we finished building it, and we took it in 1988 back to Jordan.
Wow.
So the technology is there, but again, there is a lot of technology we don't know yet.
Of course.
And but as American, I want to see more emphasis in the science education, in the technology. It is sad that we as Americans in 1976 graduate engineers more what we did in 1995. 20 years later, so this is not good.
So the standards maybe have shifted.
Well, it shifted, and you find people studying marketing now more than engineering, or business more than engineering. Why?
So we do need to promote more STEM.
Yes.
STEM
yes, we need
courses.
to.
I know in and around the country we have a wonderful program.
Absolutely.
Program
Absolutely, and I hope it will spread all over America.
It will. It will. Hopefully.
This is the idea. That's what we're pressing as Muslims. We're pushing into that. Yeah. That's because the education is the most priority for our family.
So the core is education.
Yes.
The better opportunities.
Yes.
You know, with the better education, better opportunities. And it was a pleasure having you today. We have to come back again for a second interview.
Absolutely.
I thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.